Hello, my name is Lex. I am from the Laurel Library, and for Love Your Library, we are going to make a 3D bookmark. So here is Tinkercad, and once you are signed in, this is what your starting point will look like. You might not have the designs down here if this is your first time designing. You'll just have the create new design, which you will click on. But since I had already started some bookmarks, we're going to click right into here. Just waiting for it to load. It's been a little slow today. Okay, hold on. There we go. Sorry about its slowness. So for Tinkercad, you'll be starting completely fresh. So you'll just have, let me move these off, a completely blank screen right here. And today we are going to actually make this design right here. You have a couple different options. You can add a hole. You can draw in the snowflakes, and there is a couple font options. Before we get started, let's review some of the features of Tinkercad if you've never used this before. Right along here, we have our copy, paste, duplicate, and delete, undo, and redo. Today, we'll probably be focusing on definitely the duplicate, the delete if we want to get rid of something, sometimes the undo, but we'll be focusing on those three. To move around, you can right click on your mouse pad, and this allows you to move your work plane. Also, you have this cube up here that you will click on, and that will remove your work plane too. I find it easier to use a mouse. On your mouse pad, you have that scroll that allows you to zoom in and out on your design, but you also have these to zoom in and out, and these just the house and then the fit shape and the switch to flat are just different perspectives available for to you for Tinkercad. We won't be using most of this unless you don't have a mouse and you're comfortable with using the mouse pad on the laptop. It depends on how you set up. Along here is some of the features we also are going to use. We won't use these two as much, but we'll definitely be using the group, ungroup, and align. Mirror is a fun way, but we won't be using it. What mirror does, I'll just show you real quick, and you might find that useful. You basically can change and flip the object around on the pad. So I'll take that one off. Along here is the import, export, and send to. We probably won't be using these, the send to and import, but we'll be using the export to upload our design to be printed. We'll be using most of the shapes options in here, or the main shapes. And then we might go on to some of the design starters and the shape generator. So let's get started today. I'm first going to pull over a box, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit on my mouse since I'm a little far out. Now for the box, we are going to do, the length of it is 152 and the width of it is 50. There we go. going to rearrange this a little bit since it went off the keyboard. So just move it, drag it back to the center and zoom in so you can see better. For the depth, we're going to go down to a 2 because that will give us a nice thin bookmark. You might want to do a 3 or possibly a 4, but a 4 is a little too thick with the designs we have made. The reason why you would do a 3 is if you punch holes that are not all the way through your bookmark, like with these snowflakes, a 2 might not give it enough structure without breaking. Okay, so for this one, you have a couple options. You can do the straight edges or these rounded edges right here on this bookmark. For the rounded edges, you just make sure your shape is clicked, and you would change the radius right here to the rounded. Now we're going to add some design features. Since this is Love Your Library Month, and this happens to be a Prince George's County program, we're going to do the logo. This logo, you can change it to another shape and do the same options to give you this cool effect. So we're just going to move this along the side and grab a cube and resize it to a 1. And you can do this with most shapes. What I'll show you is you're going to duplicate, and you'll use these to change to 22.5, and then just keep duplicating. So it just keeps going around and around to make that shape. Another option, as I've done this with the heart. Let's play with it a little bit, but turn it. We'll do it like that. Hold on, let me undo. So duplicate, and then we'll just do that. So I didn't get you a blob, because if you group it, it'll be kind of a weird shape. So you just can play with it depending on your shapes. Have fun with it if you don't want to do this starburst. So for this one, we are now going to group, and how you group is since it's multiple objects, you would just left click on your mouse and drag it over all shapes and group. And then I'll show you another way to group if you don't have as many shapes. So we're going to cut this starburst in half just to make it more of the PG logo. So you grab a cube that is shaded out and just pull it along the bottom. We're going to readjust so it gives us the bottom panels. And how I'm doing that is on my mouse, I just use the arrows. So another way to select objects, especially if you don't have a lot of objects, is shift on your mouse, on your keyboard, and then click the object and then click the second object, and that will have both objects listed as 2, or depending on how many objects you have. So then you would group. And then we have a little starburst that I think for our logo represents a open book. And I am going to make it a 1, because anything too bulky is just going to make your bookmark more bulky. and not be so much of a bookmark. So we're going to add this logo onto here, and how we're going to do that is, since I don't want it to go all the way through the bottom, since it's on this work plane, we're going to hit another work plane right here and then put that on top, and then hit D on your keyboard, and that raises it to the higher one. And we're going to move this one over here. I have to zoom in because it's a little small, so it's not cooperating as much as we would like. So I'm going to make this a little longer and bigger. I'm going to keep the work plane because we're going to use that for other objects. I'll show you in a minute what happens by having this workplace already in place. But first, what we're going to do is select both the bookmark and the starburst. And I'm going to first center, because I want that to be right in the center. And since they're both selected, I can just group both of those together. So now we're going to add some text. I maybe draw some objects, or we'll add the hearts. So there are a couple different text options. You have this one right here. And the one I like the most is the script one, which is under shape generator. And that's what we're just going to add. You also have this nice rounded text that will curve over a curved shape. You'll have to resize and mess with it a little bit to get it. But that's what we use to go around the logo up here. So when you're in shape generator, select all and just keep moving. You have a couple different options here. I'm just going to do script. And the script I like is this one here. I'm going to change that to MLS. Okay. I'm going to duplicate it to make the other text below the Love Your Library. And I'm going to pull this up along the side. Now, since we already have the work plane, any new object that you pull aside is on there, so you don't have to readjust like we did for the logo. It's already right on top of your bookmark and not through. So we're going to just change it around, resize it to fit. There's no exact dimensions for this because depending on what text you use, it could be longer, shorter, but you just want it to be right on there. We're going to keep that one a 2. And I'm going to highlight both these and make sure, oh, it's already centered, so that's good. So I wanted to make sure everything was centered. Now I'm going to add Love Your Library. But we're going to do it in 3 parts. So do it like that. Duplicate. I didn't want to switch the text, sorry. So one thing about the italic one, it hangs over, so it makes it difficult to type sometimes in your screen, but I happen to just like that one. So we are just gonna resize everything to fit right here. I'm gonna drag it over. I'm going to size it so they're all going to be the same length and about. In the past, for the other one, I've chosen 10. So let's resize this, and then we'll make it a little bit. We'll adjust the width of it in a minute to fit along the bottom. Let me zoom in. We'll add each of them. This one, I'm going to kind of make it a little shorter so it is in the that's in between the words. And this one I might. Okay. I'm just going to check the length. We're gonna let me make sure everything is centered. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna make some adjustment with the love one because it's a little too long. And I'm gonna make one final adjustment. This one, oh no, I'm gonna keep it because I'm not gonna have this pop out. I'm going to turn this actually all into the whole, those three right here. So I'm going to select all three and change them into a whole shape. Now remember your bookmark is a 1, so you'll have to just pull these in by your bookmarks are 2, so you'll have to pull them in by 1, because if you go further than that, you'll have a complete hole punched through, and it won't be very stable. So we're just gonna go. And I'll keep that one at 2 just to show you what I mean, and I'm gonna readjust it. So we'll do these 2, and what I mean by that is what you'll notice is that library is all the way punched through. And we want to avoid that because it won't make it very sturdy. So we're just going to pull this up 1. Okay, so they're all good. And then we're going to highlight them like we did before and group them. You'll have your whole punched out. You'll notice it change in just a minute. So while it's doing that, you'll find the hearts on the feature one. This one, I'm actually going to do a drawing tool because I think the drawing lets you add little finesse to the bookmark. So what we're going to do is I will probably make snowflakes. So that scribble is the drawing tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to do circle with another little circle to make, and then add little spike things along these edges. I'll show you in a minute. So you can pretty much draw anything that you want. You can experiment. This is just one of the, I guess, the snowflake legs. Once you have a feature that you like, you hit done. And then you have it over here. So for this one, we're going to duplicate like we did for the logo and just turn it that angle and then just keep duplicating. So it gives us the snowflake effect of the pattern. So I'm going to now group all of these. And once that is all grouped, I'm going to shrink this down to a 2. And I'm going to add this to our bookmark. I'm going to just do the 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the height and the width. I'm not going to turn it into a whole shape. I'm going to keep it like that. Now I'm going to group everything. So I'm just going to look it over. I'm pretty happy with that bookmark. There are a lot of features on Tinkercad that you can do. You will find tons of shapes, hearts and stars, even the drawing tool. We'll go through a couple of them real quick. So you can add individual numbers on the design, and it has certain features like if you like the skull, we have the stars from right over here. Be careful with some of them, because if you do this one, it will make a design, but it's not going to be the multicolor. Our printer only prints in one color. I haven't used this shape, but I have used a hexagon shape, and it does print a nice little hexagon. Let me see if I can find this shape real quick that I'll show you. This one. It prints this nice little hexagon, but again, it's all the same color because we just don't have the multicolor option that some other printers do. So here's just some of the various shapes and different logos. That's a cool one to check out. Another cool one is the shape generator. You have that rounded text here, and select all. And there's also the option if you want to do a state or a different country. They have a couple of the countries highlighted on this map. Let's see. You have New York here, but when you pull New York over, it highlights to change to the state of your choice. And the same thing with the European map. I think it will list all the countries in that map and stuff, and you can change it around and have depending on what country you want on there. So we're just going to clear that. I'm happy with that design, and now we are going to get printed. And might do one adjustment because of this gap here, but snowflakes aren't exactly perfect, so I might just keep it that way. Now let's say you're ready to download after you create your design. You have it selected and you will hit export and make sure you do this in the STL, and that will download your file. And now you can submit it to us for printing. And how you would do that is you go to our home page, which is PGCMLS.info. Got it right here, waiting for it to upload. So when you get here, you'll go to our services, and we have our 3D printing option. Here is our option. You will submit your design. You can see different agreements, our agreement, and the different tools and stuff we have for learning 3D. Tinkercad's the one we did today. The other two provide a little more sculpting options. Don't think they'll be necessarily good for a bookmark, but other future projects. So let's hit the submit. And since I'm already signed into my email, it's going to take me right to that. But if you're not signed into your email, it's going to ask you to sign in. It has the agreement for you. put all your details in, select which branch you would like it to go to. And because I'm already there once, this would be blank, but because I had already put one in, it showed it. You would just use that tool to select, to add your bookmark or your design if you have other designs you would like us to print. And it's good. It's right here. Okay, so there it's, and then you would choose your color choices. This one you will not need support. Supports are generally for objects that have more of a 40-degree overhang. This one's pretty flat, so there is no overhang. And then you can decide if you want to do share it on social media, and you just submit once you hit the agreement. So that is Love Your Library Bookmarks. Happy 3D printing and creating.